Well, Memorial Day is in our rear view and 4th of July is just right around the corner. So Derrell, as we're heading into another holiday, how does beef demand look?
You know, it appears that Memorial Day was pretty good. I think the weather was generally good. And, you know, judging by the box beef prices that we've seen in the week after Memorial Day, they picked back up, significantly. Not quite to the levels they peaked out at about a month before Memorial Day when we were buying for that holiday. But they certainly have strengthened back up. And so, you know, obviously tighter supplies is helping support that, but the demand clearly is there.
So is smaller beef supplies supporting the prices at all?
It is, and that's going to be one of the major supports going forward. We have questions about, sort of how far we can push consumers from a demand standpoint. But the bottom line is there's going to be less beef, and there's going to be, a lot of support for these prices to move even higher as we go forward.
So is that having an effect on why cattle markets are moving higher?
Yeah, that's part of it. We're moving into tighter supplies all the way around. So, in the very short run, of course, box beef and cattle prices are, there's a time lag in between there. Cattle prices are going up just because cattle numbers are tighter. We're moving clearly into that. We've seen a strong uptrend and really a significant jump recently in both fed cattle prices and feeder cattle prices. And we're going to continue to see that as these cattle numbers continue to tighten.
Well, the rain just keeps coming through a lot of part of the state, so I'm sure that's having an impact with drought as well, right?
I think it really is. Prior to the improvement we've seen in the last month or so, we haven't completely erased the drought, but I think we've minimized it enough in Oklahoma, parts of Kansas, maybe parts of the Texas Panhandle. There was probably still some cow herd liquidation as recently as a month ago in those areas. And even though beef cow slaughter was down nationally, I think in those regions there was still some liquidation. So we're probably getting pretty close to stopping that liquidation at this point. And once that happens in that region, then we'll really be in a position to sort of say that we're kind of past the major drought impacts and stabilize this herd. And then we'll start thinking about, the timing of when we begin to rebuild this thing.
So what are the things that you're most watching when it comes to cattle markets this time of year?
Well, I tell you right now, again, with the improvement we've seen in the drought conditions and so on, the main thing I'm watching right now is sort of the female slaughter. That was very large last year, and so far this year, heifer slaughter is still up a tick over last year's level, but I'm watching that very closely to see when that starts coming down. As I mentioned, beef cow slaughter is down on a year-over-year basis, but it will drop a lot farther. So it's really that female slaughter side that's going to tell me when we really have stopped liquidating and are starting to retain heifers and cut cow culling. That will be the first signs of the beginnings of trying to rebuild this herd.
All righty, thanks, Derrell. Dr. Derrell Peel, Livestock Marketing Specialist here at Oklahoma State University.